In this life, we all long for connection, for someone to walk beside us, to share in our joys, our challenges, and our dreams. We were created for relationship, not just with one another, but with our Creator. And just as God is our ultimate source of fulfillment and love, He also knows the deep desires of our hearts and understands the longing for a soulmate, a companion in this journey of life. So how does He bring that person into your life? How does God introduce you to the one He has set apart for you? First, it begins with trusting in God's timing. We may want to rush ahead, pushing our own plans, trying to figure it out on our own, but God's ways are always higher than our ways, and His timing is perfect. It may not always align with our schedule, but we must trust that He is working in the background, orchestrating every detail. He knows when you're ready, when both hearts are prepared, and He will reveal His plan in His perfect time. God often introduces us to our soulmate in ways we do not expect. It may not come through a dramatic encounter or a lightning bolt moment. No, often it comes through quiet moments, simple conversations, or shared experiences. It might be when we're not focused on finding someone at all, but rather when we're focused on growing closer to God and becoming the person He desires us to be. In this process, God is teaching us to grow in love, not just the romantic love we often think of, but the deep, unconditional love that He has shown us. This is the kind of love that lasts, the love that is patient, kind, and willing to sacrifice. It's only when we understand God's love for us that we can truly love another person the way He intends. And as we grow in our walk with God, He is shaping us, preparing us to be the kind of partner He has called us to be. At the same time, He is preparing the heart of the person He has chosen for us. This is no accident. Both hearts are being molded and shaped, ready to meet at the right time when God's perfect plan comes to fruition. Now, make no mistake, this journey will not always be easy. There will be seasons of waiting, moments of doubt, and times when it feels like God is taking His time. But in those moments, we must trust. Trust that His plan is unfolding just as it should, and trust that He is working in ways we cannot see. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it will be in a way that you know His hand has guided you. It won't be a mistake. It won't be an accident. It will be the work of a loving, faithful God who desires to bless you with a companion who will walk with you through this life, supporting you, growing with you, and drawing you both closer to Him. The introduction will not be about finding someone who completes you, because only Christ can complete you, but it will be about finding someone who complements you, someone to share in the journey, to support one another in your faith, and to be partners in God's plan for your life. So trust in God's timing, trust in His plan, trust that He knows what is best for you, and He will bring you together with the one He has prepared. When the time is right, you will know it was His hand guiding you, and you will rejoice in the beautiful gift of love He has brought into your life. God's timing is one of the most powerful reminders of His sovereignty and His perfect will for our lives. In a world where instant gratification is often the norm, it can be difficult to understand why things don't always happen when we want them to. We live in a culture that values speed and efficiency, but God's timing is far different. It is not bound by the same constraints we experience, nor does it always fit our understanding, and yet it is perfect in every way. When it comes to finding a soulmate, we often find ourselves impatient. The desire for companionship is deeply embedded in our hearts, and that longing to find someone who understands us, loves us, and walks with us through life is a natural and beautiful desire. But the question often arises, why isn't this happening now? Why does it feel like the right person hasn't come into our lives? Or why does it seem like everyone else has already found their soulmate? The first and most important thing we need to understand is that God's timing is always right, even when it doesn't align with our own desires or expectations. There is a reason for this. God knows exactly what we need and when we need it. His plan for our lives is perfect, and it is designed with love, wisdom, and care. What seems like a delay or a waiting period is not a mistake or a failure on God's part. It is simply the unfolding of His will in our lives. Consider this for a moment. God is not bound by time the way we are. He sees the beginning from the end, and He understands the intricate web of relationships, circumstances, and events that need to align perfectly in order for things to happen at the right time. While we see only a small part of the puzzle, God sees the entire picture. This is why we must trust that His timing is perfect, even when we cannot yet see how everything fits together. There may be seasons in life when it feels like you're waiting for the right person to come along. You may be praying and hoping, desiring companionship, but it seems like nothing is happening. However, in those moments, remember that God is working behind the scenes, preparing not only you, but also the person He has chosen for you. Just as He is shaping your heart to be ready for a relationship built on love, trust, and faith, He is working in the life of the person who will walk alongside you. Waiting on God doesn't mean sitting idly by. It doesn't mean that we don't take steps toward personal growth or that we don't live our lives fully. Rather, it means trusting in God's purpose for us in the meantime. As you grow in your relationship with Him, He molds you into the person He wants you to be, not just for the sake of a relationship, but for His kingdom and His glory. Every experience, every lesson, and every season you go through is preparing you to be the partner that He desires for you to be. It's important to remember that God's timing doesn't always match our calendar. We might think we are ready for a relationship right now, but God may be working in us and through us in ways that we cannot see. He might be refining us, teaching us patience, or helping us become more compassionate, mature, or grounded in our faith before He introduces us to the right person. The more we trust in Him during these waiting times, the more we allow Him to work within us and prepare us for the future He has planned. When we look back on our lives, we will often realize that the waiting period was not wasted. It was in those moments of waiting that we learned to depend on God more deeply, to trust Him more fully, and to embrace His timing with greater peace. God's timing is never delayed. It's always right on schedule. We might not always understand why things take longer than expected, but we can rest assured that His ways are higher than ours and that He knows what's best for us. So if you're in a season of waiting, if you are wondering why the right person hasn't come into your life yet, take heart. Trust in God's timing. Trust that He knows the right moment for everything to fall into place. His plan is perfect, and when the time is right, He will bring the person He has prepared for you into your life. Until then, focus on growing closer to Him, trusting in His love, and becoming the person He has called you to be. Trust that God is never late and He is always right on time. One of the most remarkable aspects of God's work in our lives is how often He moves in ways that surprise us. When we think about meeting our soulmate, we often imagine grand, dramatic encounters, perhaps a chance meeting at a party, a love at first sight moment, or some kind of extraordinary event. We may envision a whirlwind romance that sweeps us off our feet with fireworks and excitement. And while God is certainly capable of bringing people together in dramatic ways, He often works through the simple, quiet moments of life. God's method of introducing us to our soulmate is not typically through the loud and flashy, but rather through the subtle and steady. It's in the small, everyday moments that He often begins to weave two lives together. This is because God is not interested in just the external event. He is concerned with the inner transformation that happens in the process. He is more focused on preparing our hearts for love than orchestrating a spectacular event. You see, sometimes we get so caught up in our own plans and timelines that we miss what God is doing in the present moment. We may look for signs or clues that we believe should point to a soulmate, and yet the very person God has for us may be right under our noses. It might be someone we meet through a mutual friend, someone we serve alongside in a ministry, or someone we come to know over time through shared experiences and mutual interest. These are not necessarily the grand gestures we expect, but they are no less significant. In fact, often it is in the most ordinary moments of life that God begins to bring people together. A conversation in a coffee shop, a casual meeting at a church event, a shared interest or hobby. These are the types of situations where God can spark a connection that grows into something deeper over time. We may never have predicted it or even been looking for it, but that's the beauty of God's time. It doesn't rely on our efforts, our expectations, or our plans. Instead, it's rooted in His perfect understanding of what we truly need and how He will bring it about in ways we may not even see coming. This process also reminds us that our focus should not be on the search for a soulmate, but on becoming the person God wants us to be. When we are so intent on growing closer to God and becoming more like Him, He can guide us to the right person without us even realizing it at first. It's in our pursuit of God's will for our lives, our daily devotion, our focus on spiritual growth, and our efforts to live with integrity that we often become the people who are ready for a healthy, God-centered relationship. God isn't just preparing us for a relationship with another person. He is preparing us for a relationship that honors Him. In the meantime, while we wait for the right person, God is working in the quiet, hidden moments. We may not always recognize it at first, but as we seek His presence in our lives, we begin to align our hearts with His plan. The more we surrender to His will, the more we grow into the person He is shaping us to be. Someone who will be ready for the soulmate He has prepared for us. One of the beautiful truths about God's ways is that He often works in ways that we cannot predict. We don't need to orchestrate dramatic moments or chase after the idea of love we see in the movies. Instead, we can trust that God is moving in the background, bringing us together with the person He has chosen for us in a way that reflects His perfect will. So don't be discouraged if love doesn't come in the flashy, dramatic ways you've imagined. Trust that God is introducing you to your soulmate in ways you may not even see at first, through simple, quiet moments. The key is to remain faithful in your own walk with God, to focus on growing closer to Him, and to allow Him to guide you to the person who will walk beside you in life. God works through the ordinary, the unassuming, and the unexpected to bring about His extraordinary plan for your love story. One of the most profound truths in the Christian faith is that God's love for us is the ultimate model of what true love looks like. The Bible tells us in 1 John 4:19, we love because He first loved us. This foundational truth changes everything. Our capacity to love others, especially our future soulmate, is directly tied to our understanding of God's love for us. The love that God has for each of us is not based on anything we've done to earn it. It is not conditional on our behavior, nor is it a love that fades with time or is swayed by circumstances. God's love is sacrificial, unconditional, and unchanging. It is a love that is present at all times, no matter our shortcomings or failures. The very act of Jesus Christ laying down His life for us on the cross is the greatest demonstration of love that we will ever witness. It is love without limits, a love that seeks the good of the other, even at great personal cost. When we begin to grasp the depth and the greatness of God's love, we are transformed. This divine love isn't just something that we receive and enjoy for ourselves. It is something that changes us. It teaches us how to love others. It equips us to love sacrificially, to love without expecting anything in return, and to love through all the trials and challenges that life may bring. As we grow in our understanding of God's love, we also grow in our ability to love others, including our soulmate. God's love is patient, kind, and enduring. It is a love that forgives, that bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. This is the love we are called to reflect in our relationships, and it is the love that will sustain a healthy, godly marriage or partnership. One of the most important aspects of growing in love is understanding that it is not just a feeling or an emotion, it is an action. God's love for us is not passive. It is an active love that moves, that reaches out, that pursues our hearts and desires our good. Similarly, as we grow in love, we learn that love is something we must actively choose. It involves decisions, actions, and sacrifices. It is in these choices that our love for another person becomes deeper and more meaningful. This kind of love is transformative. It doesn't simply make us feel good in the moment, it changes who we are. The more we experience God's love, the more we are shaped by it. His love teaches us to be more selfless, to put the needs of others above our own, and to love in ways that reflect His character. As we learn to love God more fully, we also become more capable of loving the people around us, including the one God has chosen to be our soulmate. God's love also teaches us to forgive. When we understand how much we've been forgiven by God, it becomes easier to extend that same forgiveness to others. In a romantic relationship, there will inevitably be moments of disagreement, hurt, or misunderstanding. But when we are rooted in God's love, we learn to forgive quickly, to release grudges, and to extend grace. This is a vital aspect of growing in love and building a strong, lasting relationship. Moreover, as we grow in God's love, we come to understand that true love doesn't seek its own advantage. It is a love that is not selfish or self-serving. It seeks the best for the other person, even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or costly. When we approach a relationship with this kind of love, we begin to see our soulmate not as someone who completes us, but as someone we are called to serve and cherish. Finally, growing in love means growing in maturity. It means developing the ability to love even when it's hard, to love when it requires sacrifice, and to love when we don't feel like it. This is the kind of love that will sustain a relationship over the years, through every season of life. And it is a love that reflects the heart of God, bringing glory to Him in the way we love others. As you wait for the person God has prepared for you, allow His love to transform you. Let it shape your heart and your character, preparing you to love sacrificially and unconditionally. The deeper your understanding of God's love, the more equipped you will be to love the person He brings into your life with the same selfless, enduring, and perfect love He has shown you. When we talk about the journey to finding our soulmate, it's essential to remember that God is not only at work in our lives, but also in the life of the person He has chosen for us. We often focus on our own growth and preparation, and that's important. But we must also understand that while God is shaping us into the person we need to be, He is simultaneously working in the heart of the one who will eventually walk beside us. This truth speaks to the sovereignty of God and the incredible care He takes in every detail of our lives. Just as He has a perfect plan for you, He has a perfect plan for the other person. Both of you are being molded and readied for the moment when God's perfect plan will unfold. His timing, wisdom, and love ensure that when the two of you finally meet, it will be at the right time, under the right circumstances, and when both of your hearts are aligned with His will. It's easy to get impatient during seasons of waiting and wondering why things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like. But consider this. God is not simply preparing us in isolation. He is preparing the hearts of both individuals. Perhaps your soulmate is still going through their own seasons of growth, learning lessons and being refined in areas where God wants them to mature. They may be dealing with their own challenges, overcoming obstacles, or developing a deeper understanding of God's will for their life. Just as you are being shaped, so are they. And when the time is right, God will bring the two of you together. One of the most beautiful aspects of this preparation is that God knows exactly what qualities and characteristics are needed for each of you to complement one another. He isn't just working to help you become the right person, He is also shaping your soulmate to be the right person for you. This means that God is working in both of your lives, creating a deep foundation of faith, trust, and maturity that will support the relationship when it comes to fruition. Sometimes the waiting period can be difficult because we don't always see the work that God is doing in the other person's life. We might feel that we're ready, or we might be longing for the relationship to begin, but we have to trust that God is at work in ways we cannot see. Perhaps your future soulmate is still learning how to fully trust God, still being healed from past hurts, or developing the ability to love in a sacrificial way. The work that God is doing in them is just as significant as the work He is doing in you. God's preparation doesn't just involve individual growth, but it also involves the alignment of hearts. In order for a relationship to thrive, both people need to be prepared to meet each other where they are, to build a life together and to honor God through that relationship. The beauty of God's plan is that He doesn't just work in one heart at a time. He is orchestrating the development of two people who will one day be united as one. There will be times when you wonder why things are taking so long, why it feels like the right person hasn't come into your life yet. But know this, God is never in a hurry. His timing is always perfect. While He's preparing you, He's also preparing them. He's guiding both hearts toward each other slowly but surely until the moment arrives when you both meet and recognize that it was God who brought you together. That moment will be a culmination of all that He has been doing in your life and in the life of your soulmate. The key to trusting in this process is understanding that God's plan is always for our good. The Bible assures us in Romans 8:28 that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. The preparation of both hearts is part of this good plan. Both you and your soulmate are being carefully prepared for the relationship that God has intended for you. Each lesson, each season of growth, each trial you face, and each moment of waiting is contributing to the fulfillment of God's perfect will. So trust that God is preparing both of you. Trust that He is working in ways you cannot yet see. Your soulmate's heart is being shaped as much as yours is, and when the time is right, you will both be ready to come together and walk in the purpose that God has set before you. It's not a race, nor is it about getting to the finish line first. It's about being in step with God's plan, trusting that His timing is perfect, and knowing that when He brings you together, both hearts will be ready to love, serve, and honor Him together. The journey to meeting your soulmate is not always a straightforward or easy one. It often involves waiting for the right person, waiting for the right moment, and waiting for God's plan to unfold in His perfect timing. Waiting can be one of the most difficult parts of life, especially when it comes to something as deeply personal and significant as finding the person you are meant to spend your life with. During these times of waiting, there may be moments of doubt, impatience, and frustration. You may wonder why things are taking so long, or why it seems that everyone else is finding their soulmate while you feel stuck in the waiting room of life. However, it is precisely in these moments that our trust in God must deepen. Waiting is not a passive process. It is an active opportunity to place our trust in God and to believe that He is working, even when we cannot see it. It is in the waiting that we learn to trust God's sovereignty, His timing, and His perfect plan for our lives. One of the most important truths we must hold on to during times of waiting is that God's plan is unfolding perfectly. It may not be the way we expect or on the timeline we envision, but it is unfolding in a way that is far better than anything we could have planned for ourselves. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 55:8-9, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God sees the big picture. He sees not only where you are right now, but where He is leading you. And He knows exactly when the right person will come into your life. It's easy to feel like we are falling behind, like the waiting is a waste of time. But the truth is that God is never wasting your waiting. During these seasons, He is teaching you lessons that you need for your own personal growth and spiritual maturity. He is refining your character, growing your patience, and preparing you to be the partner He wants you to be. The waiting process isn't just about being prepared to meet someone. It's also about becoming the person who can build a relationship rooted in love, faith, and trust. The journey of waiting can also help us develop a deeper dependence on God. We begin to realize that we cannot control every aspect of our lives, and that's okay. It's in those moments of uncertainty when it feels like things are out of our control that we are called to trust God even more deeply. Psalm 37:5 encourages us, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will do this. Trusting God means surrendering our own timelines, desires, and plans to him and believing that his way is far better than anything we could have imagined. When we surrender, we find peace, knowing that God has everything in his hand. The moments of doubt and impatience are natural, but they are also opportunities for growth. In those moments, we must choose trust over fear and faith over frustration. It's not about ignoring the emotions we feel, but about bringing them to God and choosing to trust that he is working on our behalf. When we look at the waiting period as a time of preparation and trust, we can see it not as a burden, but as a season of growth, strengthening our faith in God's timing. Another key truth during the waiting process is that God's timing is always perfect. We might think we are ready, or we might feel like the right person should have arrived by now. But God knows exactly when we are truly ready to meet the person he has chosen for us, and he also knows when they are ready for us. Our understanding of readiness may be different from God's. He is working in both hearts, preparing us to be the right people for each other. Trusting in God's timing means believing that he will bring everything together at just the right moment. So during the waiting, choose to trust in the character of God. Trust that his plan will not fail and that his timing will be just right. Waiting doesn't mean that God is doing nothing. It means he is actively working in you and your future soulmate and in every aspect of your life to bring about something beautiful. The waiting will one day make sense, and you will see how every moment of patience, every prayer, and every season of doubt was part of God's perfect plan for your life. Trust through the waiting, knowing that God is working even when you can't see it. His plan is always unfolding in the background, and in the end, you will see how perfectly everything came together according to his will. His timing will be worth the wait, and his plan will be better than anything you could have imagined. Keep trusting, keep growing, and keep believing that God's timing is not only perfect, it is exactly what you need.